Welcome to this new video with Alvin Kamau, and I'm back, but we do need to review the wet July we've dealt with overall, plus those temperature trends, so watch this video all the way to the end. And I know everyone can say that July has been a wet one, and this graphic comes from our wonderful friends at the National Weather Service to break it down for us, because while I was gone between July 15th and 16th, just to clarify that real quickly, there were some spots that were definitely dumped with rainfall, especially along the south of that I-64 corridor in Illinois between July 15th and 16th, where spots like Muscoda, Illinois, Nashville, Illinois, Shiloh, Illinois, you really know what I'm talking about, where you got the higher end rainfall totals, but the highest rainfall totals were ranging from 3 inches on the low side to 6 inches, or maybe even a little bit more in some spots. And this was really where some spots that don't normally see flooding, especially Nashville, Illinois, that I heard a lot while I was gone, that did see flooding. And this is on top of what we've already seen this month. So definitely this period between July 15 and 16 definitely brought a lot of hiccups to some locations, especially if you were in Muscoda or Shiloh, Illinois as well. Don't want to forget you. And even if you're in Waterloo, Illinois, almost 6 inches of rain was nothing to play with when we were during this time, July 15th and 16th. And even if you were on the lower end, St. Charles, this is still on top of what we've already seen. And when we go back even earlier this month in July to the remnants of Barrow, that also brought rainfall to our region, where there were some spots that maybe you got on the lower end, like Quincy, that got below an inch, or maybe you were approaching that 4-inch mark around Cuba or Potosi or Cahokia in Illinois. So this really just shows you, on top of everything that we've gotten, that July has been a wet one, especially folks in Nashville, Illinois. Thoughts and prayers with you guys, because definitely July 15 and 16 was something you're probably not going to forget with that flooding that you guys were dealing with. So yeah, July has been a wet one. And also those temperatures, when it comes to that, I guess that hasn't been so bad, especially after that rainfall moved out a couple of days ago between July 15th and 16th. We were enjoying some unseasonable temperatures. Our normal high for this time of the year is 90. Looking ahead at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook between July 27th and 31, we could actually have temperatures leaning or a little bit above normal, which means there could be some days where we're approaching that 90-degree mark, or maybe going a little bit over that in some locations. Of course, this comes from our Climate Prediction Center, and this updates frequently, so we could always get changes with the forecast. But when I see the normal high being at 90, and then I see leaning or a little bit above normal, this just tells me we could have temperatures between this time period of July 27th and the 31st that could be approaching or maybe going a little bit over that 90-degree mark. And for summer, that definitely wouldn't be so bad. And even into early August, I know we don't want to talk about that because that rings back to school, even for me, but it does look like leaning or maybe just a touch a little bit above average for at least the early part of August. Any further than that is kind of going out into the woods. But it just shows us that temperature trends in between this period shouldn't be horrible, but at least approaching or maybe going a little bit over that 90-degree mark through this 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, extended beyond your regular 7-day forecast and even way beyond your 7-day forecast, 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. That will change, so please note that when we look at temperature trends, we're not talking about the exact temperature because you're not going to nail that out so far out, but the Climate Prediction Center helps us look at, hey, this is your normal high, what could we be looking at just a little bit beyond. And looking at this, I don't think it will be horrible. If anything does change with the temperature outlook, I will let you know in my following videos. And of course, for the latest on your forecast, you can download Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, whatever they call it nowadays. Follow me. The link will be down in the description, and I'll continue to bring you weather updates, including the Twister movie that just came out. I just posted about that the other day, and it's a pretty good movie. You should go check it out. But in general, bottom of the line, this was a review of how wet July has been overall. And again, it's between July 15th and 16th that we started to talk about, so it has nothing to do with what we're going to be dealing with the next couple of days. Nothing to do with that. That's why I have that time period, rainfall between July 15th and 16th, so that we can clarify things, that this isn't in the future. This is already something that we've dealt with, including places like Nashville, Illinois, that were really dumped with rainfall. So definitely this is something to reflect back to when it comes to July. And it's completely different from June, where June we were wanting the rainfall. And it's like we're just getting it all at once, especially with what we've already dealt with in July. So I definitely wanted to recap that because I noted that probably someone will ask me about that if I posted about something a little bit different. So yeah, July has definitely been a wet one, and I think all of us, including our friends in the National Weather Service, can say that as well. So that was your review of the wet July that we've dealt with so far, just because we'll just have to see what we're going to expect over the next couple of days, but nothing like this, I can tell you that. And also those temperature trends that don't look so horrible. When you look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, leaning a little bit above average for parts of Missouri and Illinois, it just means we could have temperatures approaching or maybe going a little bit over that 90-degree mark between July 27th and the 31st. Even at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook that carries us into early August, we could have temperatures that are at least leaning or a little bit above average, meaning that we could have temperatures approaching or going a little bit over that 90-degree mark during that time period. And again, changes are possible when we're going beyond that 7-day forecast. But until then, Outdoor Weather Report on Twitter like I always do, so make sure you're following me on Twitter, and I will see you in the next video.